Hello and welcome to Comics Covered, where Matt and I, the co-founders of CoverPrice.com, talk to you about cool and interesting sales of the week. And this week, I believe we're talking about interesting content stuff. How you doing, Matt?
Very, very energetic, John.
I summed up everything that I was to do that, Matt. Matt has a tendency, a horrible tendency to like call me out on the thing that I do, and I'm like, and here we go, and he's like,
I love it. It's good. It's good. I have to. This is the playful banter we have. This is how we do it.
It's more like bullying, Matt.
No, it's playful banter.
That's what bullies say, Matt.
Yeah, I know, pretty much.
Yeah.
Hope everyone's doing well. Yeah, no, it's a busy, crazy week. Although it was relatively quiet in the comic verse. Although I don't know if you saw today, CGCS had a pretty funny video mocking CGC.
Oh, about the whole destroying of comics?
They slabbed a banana peel, and they're like, there's like no creases in this banana, and it said, "We don't monkey around," or something like that.
Sounds about right.
It was like, but I'm surprised they don't do more of that, right? Like, I mean, that's how you get out. I know sometimes it can be in bad taste, but at the same time, it's like, sometimes you gotta kick them while they're down. But at the same time, most of those guys do just let it be. So. It's that's probably the most, I think, the topic of conversation has been CGC for the past week.
And rightly so. I mean, if the cases are causing problems, then that's affecting everybody and affects all your investments and your time, and it's a huge
issue. Yeah, usually in the past, you hear stuff come up and you're like, well, that's a problem. But it's not going to stop. Like if CGC suddenly said, "Hey, people stop sending in books, we have like no wait," there would just be a flood of submissions because people would be like, "Oh, I'll send mine in." And that's the thing. Usually, the past stuff has never stopped people from sending things in. But if like we were talking to Lando, who's usually on the show tonight, he got 50 books back, and 6 of them had the problem. So, that's 1 in 8 for him. That's not good. Like if someone told me like you have a 1 in 8 shot of your books getting damaged, that's what if it was a book that you couldn't, it was irreplaceable or hard to get.
Every one of my comics is irreplaceable, Matt. Like children.
Yeah. TJ says he's gotten quite a few books newly graded, no problems. Yeah, I wonder if it's like the one thing that hasn't been super clear if it's an era issue. Is it Golden Age, Silver Age? Is it Bronze, Copper, Modern, Independence? Like is it by publisher? Thickness of the book, like those are a lot of the things that is unclear. All the examples that I saw that were shown were like 80s modern, which typically always had like overhangs, or there was always some printing issues in the like 80s books. So I don't know if it's very unclear on what books are affected, and it would be nice to know those specifics, and a lot of that stuff is unknown.
I mean, when you come up with a product, right, and you say something like it's gonna hold your comic, it's gonna keep it safe, and they've been around since 2000, right, or 2003 or so. So they've had time to have people complain and send back 20 years later and say like, hey, this is how the book looks. But like when you first launch, I can give them like an excuse because you're like, you don't know how it's going to be out in the world. You've tested it, you've tried to see it, but they've changed their cases a number of times since then. So
yeah, it sounds like when they were responding to the tampering issue, they just rapidly tried to fix it, and probably with not enough testing. I'm guessing that's what happened. And then it was like, this stuff pops up a couple months later, and it's like, oh, oops,
Yeah.
They moved fast to respond to this one issue, and it pulled the blanket on the other end of things.
It's so hard. Concrete Sandals. I mean, like, it's so hard because you're like, that wasn't there, and if they say we're the grading company, it was there. It's like you're kind of like SOL.
And in the past, I've submitted a lot of stuff in the past, and to both companies, to CBCS and CBCS and CGC, and I've had great interactions with both of them, and I've had things go wrong with both of them. Like, and that's the thing. It's you're dealing with.
Yeah.
You have all these middlemen between the post office and then people accepting the book and opening the books and processing. Like, there's a lot of hands on that stuff, and it definitely leads to issues. Heck, we had an order that we did from San Diego last year that took 6 months to get to us, because it got lost for 3 months.
The funny thing was, Matt, it got sent to someone with Matt's exact name in a different city, and we were like, "Who? What?" And they accepted it. They're like, "Oh yeah, it's addressed to me," but it wasn't. And it was like all these cool Spawn books.
Yeah, it was a really strange set of circumstances.
That was funny. We were like, "Well, I guess that's gone forever now," but it came back eventually.
And then one day it just showed up. Yeah,
we were like, should we drive up there and like confront somebody about this?
I know. I mean, and when they deal with such volume, like, I'm not like defending, like, basically saying that they get a pass on having these issues, but obviously that's not their intention to have these issues, right? Like, no one designed this case with the intention of damaging books. So of course they're going to fix it, and of course they can't straight out say, like, they can't even legally say that, oh yes, this is a problem. All they can do is fix it and put out the fix.
I mean, I like CGC. I like CBCS too, but like, I like CGC. I like the people over there. I like the quality of the stuff overall. They're good people, good company.
And I like CBCS. All the CBCS people we met. And I do think it's funny that they took the opportunity to try to get some of the people over to their side. This exact same thing happened, I want to say, in 2017 or 2016. There was a similar CGC issue. I can't remember what the issue was, but everyone flooded to CBCS because they were frustrated. And then right at the same time, CBCS decided to pivot to a new label, which was this rivet label. I don't know. Have you ever seen this label?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's known as the ugliest label ever, on any slab. And it was a very bad label. And then that they just completely threw that traction into the dumpsters. like people are like, we're gonna go back over here now.
Well, here's a question for everyone who's listening. Do you guys think that the label itself matters in terms of aesthetics, or do you just want the book, like the case, to be perfect? And obviously it should protect your book, but how much does the case aesthetic matter to you guys when you choose a grading company? I know, like,
you're saying case aesthetic?
Yeah, like EGS, for example, they'll change the color of the bar to match the color of the comic book. You have the little tag. CGC does like the Wolverine cover, like in the case and stuff, and they do that. Each company's trying their own thing, but is that important to everybody?
Yeah, TJ said that CBCS switched to had problems. It was CGC. Yeah, they switched to a new case, had problems, and fixed it the following month. Yeah. I think that's when the Newton rings popped up for the first time.
Yeah. We got Commander in Beef. That's a great name. Yeah. Labels unassuming. You want the label to be unassuming. Kenneth is saying label matters as my books are displayed. Case quality.
So people are anal, right? Like, everyone, when you have stuff on your wall, you want it to be aesthetically the same, which is why people will stick with one or the other. But also CGC for notoriously is known to have more aftermarket value than CBCS. Now we have known in a lot of cases, it's not always the case. That's traction we've seen. A lot of people claim that they always do, but it's not true. CBCS has had top of sales all-time highs plenty of times in the market. But when it comes to a common book like, let's say, Amazing Spider-Man 300 that sells every day, all day, there is a bit of a price bump for for some of those books.
I mean, from the data we collect, I mean, we're talking like tens of thousands of sales every single day. We've collected millions of sales. We just we had a data table that was like 300 million items long that we're trying to figure out and clean up. But the vast majority of those sales are CGC. Like you're looking at like high 80, low 90% of most sales that we're collecting is CGC, and that just shows how popular they are compared to the other grading companies. But there's a lot of competition. PSA, EGS, Halo, CBCS. They're all coming in.
Now, here's a fun little fact, though. This is actually something interesting for everyone out there watching. Now, everyone talks about graded pricing, right? Like talks about grading companies and getting your books graded and what whether you should get your books graded or what's the better company to go for. All in all, like, because we have so much data, so much volume, we actually went through and we're like, so this was actually a couple months, this is from June, but I asked our team, like, okay, how many of the sales did we bring in this month were slab sales? Of all the sales we brought in for the entire month, slab sales made up for 9%. 9 of all the sales we tracked. That's like not a lot.
That's why you use cover price for those raw sales, which make up probably about 99% of everybody's collection, unless you're like a big flipper, or big speculator.
And so, like, raw sales, even like, I'm sure a lot of you guys have more slabs than the average collector out there. But a lot of people, I mean, their collections are probably, as John said, 99% raw, right? And all the books that are selling in the aftermarket are literally 89%. 91% raw. And so, I mean, that's one thing to keep in mind, is that this is such still a niche part of collecting, despite it being so visible and topical and talked about. It's just because these are the books, these are the things that hit these crazy big sales, these are the things that are flashy, and these are the things that, they do enhance a lot of value to people's books and to people's collections. And, they are the things that people want to talk about. And when you show off a book in your collection, it's probably a graded book. Because you put some provenance on it. And
I will say the grading companies did, I mean, you and I have talked about this many times, save the aftermarket in a lot of ways, because it allowed people to sell something online with confidence, and so grading companies do kind of carry that weight of like, I trust somebody else looked at this, it's verified, I know I'm getting a 9.8 or whatever. But
yeah, look, so Kenneth says he has about 46 slabs, And I mean, that's the thing. It's like they're
30.
No, well, he has 10 back from CGC.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Yeah, and like, John, how many do you have? I think you have like, what, 3?
How dare you? I have 4.
4.
And one of them is displayed.
One of them is right there on the wall
in the sunlight where it shouldn't be.
I mean, like, even me, like, I think I grade a lot. I probably maybe have 100, maybe.
Yeah.
And even then, it's like,
I will say this though, when I show somebody who's not a comic collector the graded slabs, it holds more gravitas than just a raw comic.
Well, it does. I mean, that's the intention behind it, is that you have this third-party company that will assess a grade. We'll give it a grade. We'll put it in there. We'll protect it. Put it into a slab and keep it safe. And I mean, it does look good in a case.
Yeah.
I mean, hence, but it is pretty expensive overall. Even EGS is almost the same cost as sending it to CGC, which is why, it's a lot of people are like, well, if I'm going to pay this, I might as well go with this company that's going to give me more value.
Yeah.
TJ says I have 2,550 CGC books and have never had any problems except for a couple mislabeled. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've had the one problem I had, and this was a CBCS problem, wasn't a CGC problem. I had X-Men 510 J. Scott Campbell Psylocke cover, one of my favorite covers.
Ooh, yeah, it's a beautiful one.
It was near mint, and it came back as a 6.5. And I was like, how did this happen? And it said stain on the back, and flipped it over. There was like this giant oil drip stain that was like all the way down the back. And I was like, I know that wasn't there when I sent it out. And it's kind of one of those things where it's a he says, she said kind of thing.
Can you take photos of your comic with a newspaper from the day that you took it?
You send it out. I mean, there is some, there is something to that, but it was like, oh, that's how we got it. No, I mean, this stuff happens. There's actions. There's middlemen. There's people handling your books. This stuff is going to happen every now and then. You just don't want to be the person it happens to. But
Anyway, hey, so what are we giving away today for all the?
We're doing a Grommets 4, the 1 in 10. I believe this is a Skate or Die homage. So if you remember the old NES Skate or Die video game, I believe this is a homage to that.
Oh, cool. And it's by Chuck Beebe?
I think. You tell me.
I was going to say, yeah, I'm actually looking at the Skate or Die video game cover homage thing. Yeah, it looks like it here. Let me share real quick.
Yeah. I think it is.
Kind of looks like it. We'll give you it.
It's very 80s anyways, with the checkerboard and the classic 80s board,
Yeah. I mean, kind of, see. Oh, kind of like right. Sorry, I have it right up there. So yeah, see, it's the Skate or Die kind of cover, but there might be a different one.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking of something else. I don't know. It's 80s enough. Skate or Die was a fun game.
So we'll give you guys the entry code that you're going to put in chat. But we were going to talk about content. We talked about, we got some Alien stuff. We got some Beetlejuice stuff. What was the other one? The Crow.
Yeah, we're talking about. I mean, it's interesting to talk about content again because for the past couple of years, it's been pretty quiet in terms of light speculation, especially stuff that was non-Marvel. For the past couple of years, I feel like non-Marvel stuff has taken off. And in the past couple of weeks and upcoming, we have not necessarily comic book brands, but brands that have prevalent or at least a presence in comic books. And we're talking about basically The Crow, talking about we have Aliens Romulus, right? And we have Beetlejuice.
And we said it twice now. I don't think we can say it a third time. Isn't that the thing?
No, yeah, you can't. As long as there's a break in between, you just can't say it consecutively.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for the rules, because I didn't know, and you just probably saved our lives.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Although, is he that bad?
I don't know. He's kind of fun.
I like seeing worms.
I mean, he launched an entire franchise. I mean, that's fun.
Right. I like seeing worms. Yeah. My Marvel buys are way off. Says, what Marvel buys are you talking? I'm just interested to see. I mean, it's kind of, it's when we're talking about the aftermarket, it's interesting to see where things go. For example, let's see if I could jump into it here.
I agree. There's too many rules for horror films and stuff that I don't know how many times you're supposed to look in the mirror and say a name, not say a name. Fun times.
All right, let's start with The Crow. So here's where you get into The Crow has a diehard fan base, right? I forgot to do what you asked me to. Here, let me set my screen for a second. So
and those of you who are interested in seeing a good review of the show, our buddy Coy Jandro, if I said his name right, that's always hard, did a great review. I'll just post it real quick in the chat. He breaks down a lot of movies. Go check out his YouTube channel after this show. Don't you leave right now. But he does a great job, and he's really fun to watch. So,
all right, there we go.
One of the most personable people I've ever met, to be honest. He's just like so.
That guy can talk.
Yeah.
No, he's a funny. He just got married, so congrats to Coy.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, Lando, whenever you want to jump on, buddy, you're always welcome. So let's go into the first cameo appearance of the Crow. We got Caliber Presents #1. What's interesting, so now the Crow's back. It's being met with less than favorable reviews. If anyone has seen it, and I would love to hear your opinion on it, because although it's very off the traditional Crow brand, I think it still looks interesting to me. Like I'm still very interested in seeing it. But the bad reviews, I mean, the poor Crow, he's been mistreated for a very long time since the Brandon Lee film. Mm-hmm. Everything else other than that has kept tarnishing it. And then we were promised a new form of content for the last 15 years, if not more, and never really getting anywhere. And we were supposed to get Jason Momoa as the Crow at Sony a while back. I heard nothing good about it. Probably wait till I mean, but here's the thing: it's like now Raws are dropping. But here's like an all-time high was when the Crow was first announced in 2022. This was hitting 3,600 and a 9.8. Now you can get a 9.8 for around 1,700, 1,900.
Can you make your screen bigger a little bit so it takes up more of the screen so it's hard to see? It's kind of small.
Yeah, but like that.
Hey, oh, extreme close up.
There we go. And so that's kind of interesting to me. Like this is kind of, for me, I feel like the Crow is like it's an evergreen blue chip book. So it's kind of
for sure.
What's that?
There's a lot of Crow fans out there. I had the freaking poster up in my room. Way back when.
I mean, these are still great values. I mean, if you go back, I'm sure this goes back to, if you want to look at, let's see, when were these current prices at the same marker? So it looks like you got to go back to 2019 is when, this is lower. 2019 prices were around 1,400. In 2021 prices were around 2,400. So we kind of roll back to 2020 prices. Pretty much COVID, which is interesting, which everyone's like, oh, this was the height of the market. Mm-hmm. But the height of the market for this was 2 years ago. So that's interesting to me. But then here we'll jump back into these in a second. But in this one too. I guess, did I not bring it up? Where is it? We're showing everything. Here we go. We went through them all real fast.
End of the show. Bye, everyone.
I mean, again, here you go. 2022 all-time high, 18 grand. Now it's 6,000. That's a brutal fall. Someone really wanted that in 2022.
I didn't know it went that high. That's crazy. Was that just like a crazy outlier, or was that actually?
I mean, it was probably the only one on the market at the time. Someone got itchy and pulled the trigger, But this is a brutal drop. So this film coming was like, people obviously have no faith in it currently. But honestly, let's look back and see how far back 9.8's rolled back to. If we're looking at that marker, 9.8's kind of fell back to. I mean, it really surged in 2022. It went from 18, then it dropped to 14, then to 10. It was around 10 for a little while, and then 7, and now it's around 6. So I mean, it's still higher than 2019 prices. It's double 2020 prices. So I mean, that's the thing. Like, you look at. So let's have a real talk about this. It's like, even though this is a dramatic drop and this was it's brutal, it's double where it was like after all this stuff was announced, so all this content stuff did really drive up the value. So I mean, ultimately, while it didn't stay at 18 grand, it's still higher than it was in 2020. 9.6, yeah, 9.6. Derek, you're sitting pretty at 1,300, 1,600. And again, like, I can't tell you guys just like here's what's going to happen with The Crow. This is not if this film wasn't a success. If this film wasn't, what's that?
I'm going to do some music to set this to you.
No, you don't have. No, it's going to be quick. By the time you find the music, can you take it off? Thank you.
Okay.
So what's going to happen with The Crow is now it needs to be a TV show, a really good dark TV series on HBO or something where it has a good budget and it could be a dark, brooding show. It would do fantastic, and that's where you'll start seeing this pick back up. The Crows. Everyone's going to be trying to make a Crow project forever. So that's the good news. It's like Superman and Batman. People are always going to keep coming back to it. They won't ever learn their lessons. But I love The Crow, and everyone knows that there's something there. It's just the right people haven't been behind it.
What I'd like to see is not what was it, Shelley and something, like the two main characters in the Crow and his love interest. That whole thing is like undying love. Like there's this huge tragedy, whatever. But it would be cool, and I think this is kind of what they do, right? It's like that's not the only character that you follow. The Crow is a totem of like any type of love that brutally is hurt and ended to regain that love, right? And so it's like it'd be cool to see a series of Crows like they did with the Animatrix or something like that.
Sure. And I just need a lot of Cure. I need the Cure. And I just need him running across rooftops with the Cure playing in the background. That's all I need. That's it.
Yeah. All right. That's pretty good.
But I will say that while this is having a little bit of a downturn because this is, but again, it's not that bad of a drop in terms of a couple of years ago. There's little like books like this. Like this is a very hard to find tabloid. X-Files did a whole bunch of partnered, like a collab book with Transformers, Ghostbusters,
Ninja Turtles.
Thank you. And then The Crow. And this is kind of one of the hardest ones to find, but it recently hit an all-time high a couple months ago for $240. I mean, yeah, good luck finding this. Is a really tough book to find. Now, this is also on the other side of things. A lot of people don't realize what they have with this book, and they'll sometimes just throw it out for like $20, and people steal these all day long. So it's one of those books to definitely keep a lookout for.
So I love those covers. Whenever they do that kind of stuff, it's just so fun.
And then there's a little they're fun. And then look for the micro series, especially the variants for these micro series from IDW specifically. Like this book is hitting all-time highs. $250 just a couple weeks ago.
Wow.
They're really getting in. It looked like he was about to get some tongue right there.
He's
just going for it. He was
it's on.
I don't know what the Crow's wearing around his neck there, but it's like
they're in the row.
Joe Barr's name is right there on the So like there are little microclimates in the Crow world. Like here's another one, The Crow, and this is the same series actually. 120, 185, and a 9.8. 120 was actually just a week ago. This was a Hastings book. Like this was a book with probably a substantial print run of either
Look at
five.
that. There's your hair. There's your 80s Depeche Mode hair.
I mean, it's classic Crow hair too, for sure. That is James. That is Obar hair right there. I mean, so there are a lot of these little micro, and here we go. And this is probably my favorite. This is the Todd McFarlane cover, right? I mean, not only do you have what's that?
I didn't know Todd McFarlane did that.
Oh, we've only had this on our shaker list like twice. It's too. If you just read our reports every now and then, you would probably.
I read them. I just don't remember them.
When
was the last time that was on the report?
I could probably look in. But I'd have to show everyone our back.
Okay. I'm just saying it wasn't in the last like month.
Here, I could do a search. Here we go.
I don't like where this is going.
No. Here, I'll pull it off. I'll take.
I'll take that off. It's like, all right.
No, I'm not going to the live site. You can put it back up. Anywho, no, you can put it. Where's my screen?
No, there you go.
There you go. So this book is this was a year ago. 750 was all-time high. We haven't seen the 9.8 in a while, but there have been pretty big sales for 9.6s. Raws, 40, 50, 100, like for bad grade copies, which is kind of like this used to sell for like $10 back in the day. So it is definitely a fun book to have to see it.
With all these different versions and covers and stuff like that, do you have any thoughts on what might start catching fire, or is it just like?
Well, if I was ever to point someone to buy a book, like there's Todd McFarlane creators out there, Todd McFarlane diehard fans, and then you have Crow fans. Like anytime you can marriage collectors, those are always the books to really pay attention to. And like this is one of those books that's only going to get rare over time. And it actually is a really good Todd cover. Like it's a good cover. So it's definitely one of those, like if you're going to buy a Crow cover,
can you go on that? It kind of open up the cover for a second. It looks a little bit like the Violator. McFarlane's The Demon.
Let's see. Oh no, not really.
Red eyes, painted face.
I guess so, a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe he felt inspired. Oh wait, Todd McFarlane presents. What is that? Yeah, a lot of people are selling their copies for like $70, $100. It is really hard to get cheap copies these days. But this is a digger's book. If anyone has dug, if any of you are active diggers, you have come across this book at some point in your digs in the past couple of years. They're out there. They're a little rarer these days, but
there's one for 1,000 right there. It's like a 998 or so.
Yeah, but that's what someone's asking for.
Fishing. Going fishing.
1,100. I mean, that would be what the ultimate. What did we say? 750. That's not impossible.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Red Hood Comics. Yeah. Actually, Red Hood Comics is usually pretty good with their pricing. So maybe this is still only $50, and they're just hoping that the film would have pushed it more. Still, this is one of those books. If I was going to tell people, I have 2 copies, but unfortunately, neither are near mint. But yeah, but there are books that I found for $1, in the past years. So
cool. So with the floppiness of the movie, the poor reception of it, I guess we'll wait till the next.
It survived 2 or 3 bad films. I forget how many sequels there were. I think there were 3, but I can only remember 2.
I gotta say, Brandon Lee did such a good job, though. I'm dead and I move. Move when you're dead. I'm dead and I move.
No, well, that film's a classic for a reason, because it was well done.
Though I'm always kind of too depressed. Like when I watch it, I feel too depressed, so I can't watch it too often. It's really dark.
Because you miss Brandon.
No, that, but also the movie itself is so dark, and so it's just nighttime and raining all the time. You're just like, that's the point.
It doesn't rain all the time, John.
Oh, quote.
Victims, aren't we all? Beetlejuice. There's not a ton of Beetlejuice books moving out there, but like this again, as a digger, I've come across a few of these. I never actually pulled one, never grabbed one, but I should have. Specifically because I remember this animated series very well. There was a cartoon animated series that followed the I mean, it's kind of crazy to think like, hey, let's take a Tim Burton concept and make a kid show out of it. But then again, we have Pee Wee Herman, like we have, you know.
I mean, most of his stuff though is kind of kid weird, like Nightmare Before Christmas in a sense.
Yeah. And what's kind of funny of it is how this book took out some of those Tim Burton-esque, like this snake is not Tim Burton-esque. You know, the only thing that still has some Tim Burton elements to it is just the suit. But anywho, this is something that has definitely gotten an uptick and is definitely on the increase. So the last highest sale was $5.75. We got to dig through and see if we're missing some graded sales here. I feel like we are, but $5.67 when this was probably what a $75 9.8 for ages. Well, looks like it's been, people probably just started grading them in 2022, which is interesting. Well, they probably graded some earlier, but they probably weren't actively selling. And there's a Canadian price and a newsstand. The Canadian price is quite valuable, BG for 118. But
I think the content's going to be good. I mean, they got Michael Keaton back. They got
oh no, did you hear they got a 3-minute standing ovation at the premiere, which is like pretty unheard of. Usually, like if industry people, when you have industry people around, the most polite thing that people do is they just get up and they all just leave the theater and they just like no one says anything. But this got a 3-minute standing ovation. And
no way.
Reviews are excellent for this.
Oh, good. Yeah, it looks. it's Michael Keaton. It's awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, so if you're like again, like I can't advocate more for getting out there and dig, because I mean, really, that's how I learned to like notice everything. Is you just come across the weirdest and craziest things, and you never go in there with an expectation to find something. You kind of just let the box take you where it takes you on the journey where it wants to take you.
It's like psilocybin. He's like, just go through the box. Once you stop, you
follow the box, and the box will take you. Will lead the way.
There's no way out but through.
I mean, honestly, it is. It's something. It's like so therapeutic for me. It's just going through a long box.
You said you're gonna probably do some of that this weekend. Get a little mat time.
Oh yeah, I think I have some time to myself on Sunday, so I might go. I might just do some good old fashioned digging. See what we find. Some of my old haunts I haven't been to that in years, but like there was this used bookstore where I found like I don't know. This is pre-cover price, but I found like Walking Dead 1 through 20 there, NYX3. What was the Greg Capullo horror book? I'm blanking on the name of it because it's off my head.
If you guys ever get a chance to see Matt in the wild digging through a box, it's majestic. It's beautiful. He just
don't go chasing waterfalls. It's true.
Yeah.
You don't.
He's like Rain Man counting toothpicks. It's pretty impressive.
Fun. I get like time stands still. Like it'll be like
not for everyone watching you, man.
that was 3 hours. Yeah, no, it's so much fun. It's so much fun.
I've gone and had to go get lunch and come back kind of thing with Matt.
Yeah, but then you get bummed if you don't find anything, right? If you come empty-handed.
The chase, it's the fun.
But it's all about the chase, yeah. So this is a good book to pay. Like I think that now that the brand is kind of revitalized and it sounds like it's going to be sustained for a little while. Now you have a new generation finding it. I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing these 9.8s creep up a little higher. I don't expect too much. I can't see this being like $1,000 book. But I could see Roz jumping up a little bit more.
That's crazy what you said though. When you think about it, a new generation, like generational IP that has like Ghostbusters, that has reincorporated itself, reinvented itself for a new generation. That it's just never going to die, And I think the interest in it will never die.
I mean, that's why so many of these evergreen brands have such immense value. When you look at Power Rangers and Pokemon, and the reason why Pokemon cards are so extremely valuable is because you have this generational connection where now parents can sell it, share it with their children. I mean, there's something special to that you can pass down, a brand that you love. It's cool. It's fun. Yeah. I mean, that's why people like get into comics too. It's like they want a physical representation of this thing they loved, and comics is kind of an easy way to do it. A lot of people get into the action figures and whatever.
I like Love Comics' comment. He gets anxiety when people are when he's going through boxes. It's kind of like peeing. Yeah. It's kind of like peeing. It's hard when people are around sometimes.
Oh, it's what drives me nuts is if if there's someone ahead of you and you know that they're going through boxes before you do. It's one of those things where you're like, you better not find good stuff.
You always keep like an eye on that one person's hand. You're like, move.
Or what bugs me, like you're the first one to, let's say there's 10 long boxes, right? And you're the first one to the set. You're like, let's say you're on box 3, and then someone jumps right to box 6 in front of you. You're like, no, this is my space. You go in order. You go behind me.
I think you're supposed to lick all the boxes or put some, like, just carry a bunch of hats and put all your hats on it.
Yeah,
and then save it.
Yeah. That's right. It's funny. It's funny that you get into that, but it's kind of when you're in those situations, everyone's looking for something specific. So you tend to like I've seen people stack. So like, oh, what did you pick up? I'm like, oh, good. There's nothing that I wanted. So everyone has their thing. Derek says pisses me off. It is hard. There is proper etiquette, but some people jump through it. Yeah, it's definitely treasure. It's treasure hunting.
We talk about that all the time. Like when we're thinking of like designing for cover price and stuff, it's like, how do you support that feeling of like finding something, of like doing this is what you're doing right now. You're listening to us talk about researching ideas and what's happening. You're looking at the website. Like that's the treasure hunter, like learning, growing your knowledge, then going like hunting out there and knowing that it's worth something, like picking up a gold doubloon and going, oh, that was a Spanish whatever from, it's like, it when you see it.
It's really hard to find doubloons, John.
I find them in long boxes all the time. That's the time.
I mean, this is the point of the Shaker report. It's because a lot of these books I wouldn't say none of these are easy to find, but the more your awareness grows of some of these rare things, the whole point of it is just to store it away in your brain. And then when you're out digging and you see it one day, you'll know, right? And you'll just be able to just grab it. Like a lot of these books, I wouldn't say that they're not in dollar bins. All these Hit Girls and Kick-Ass books, like after the last film, these ended up in dollar bins by the load. And there's a lot of good. Actually, I think this series has one of my favorite covers in there. Let's see if I can.
I'm gonna throw up the code real quick for the giveaway. Because I said throw up. So we're giving this away, grommets number 4. If you want to enter, guess what it's going to be. It's going to be #grommets, lowercase. Put that in and go ahead, Matt. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no worries.
Someone else.
Yeah, I don't think the cover I like is actually, I forget what series it is. It might be a Kick-Ass book, but this is a really cool cover. Let's see if I can. It's Fernandez. I like that one. Anyway,
was that a good series?
There's an Adam Hughes Hit Girl book I was trying to think of.
Were you into that series? Did you read it? Hit Girl? Was it good?
Oh yeah, I love Kick-Ass. Kick-Ass. Yeah. Mark Millar, when he's on it and he kicks, and when he sticks with the series and he sees it through, it's fantastic. The problem with Mark Millar is that he'll start a project and then just abandon it like 2-3 issues in because it didn't get picked up for content or whatever. I mean, that was the frustrating part of a lot of the stuff that he's done in the past couple of years, is that you just knew you couldn't commit to a book. Like Nemesis is a fantastic book, but again, he just never came back to it. And it's kind of one of those, it gets very frustrating as a reader and a collector to really commit to some of the stuff. Oh yeah, so here it is. It's let's see if I can find. So it was a connecting cover. Here we go. I'll drop it in here. So this is my favorite cover. Is this Adam Hughes cover for Kick-Ass 3.
Can you blow it up?
Nope, it doesn't want me to click it. I'll have to go to the page.
There you go. That's pretty big. That's pretty big.
But yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, and I guess it's a connecting cover, but yeah, it doesn't want to do it. I guess I could open it as a new tab here. There you go.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's a really good cover.
He draws like blood and stuff, kind of similar across his. I mean, it's his style, but it's like that saturated kind of like.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. Like, how does a textile, respond to blood? It soaks it in and dries, right?
Well, you're never going to get that out. Nope.
I'm sure she probably has a way to do it. The other thing is, I mean, that's the thing. The return to Kick-Ass. I think they noticed that there was. I didn't even notice. Our writer actually did a good job of covering this. That there was a film that Matthew Vaughn made a new Kick-Ass film called School Fight. Wrapped in production in 2021, debuted the footage at the 2022 London Action Film Festival, but there's been no trailer or it hasn't been released since 2022. And then he was going to do a trilogy called The Stuntman, and then the last one would be Kick-Ass. So it was going to go to School Fight, Stuntman, Kick-Ass. I want to see that right now.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Can you kill the ad at the bottom of your screen?
Well,
there it is. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Oh, we find the ad annoying, don't it? There's a lot of cool stuff. I mean, the D23 books, the book that came out of D23, $3,000 for this black and white. Granted, it's limited.
Watch this, Matt. Watch this without even looking. 25 only, limited to 25. See, I read this one.
This is one of those books that C.B. Selesky, is that how he was saying? I probably butchered that, but he was passing these out to super fans.
That's cool. I do like the black and white.
We got The Rock.
You had another D23 one further down, right?
Yeah, there was a Scrooge McDuck one.
Right. Which matches your shirt, by the way. I don't think I didn't notice.
That's right. I got DuckTales. This one was interesting because so after the Marvel panel at D23, they gave away these books. I don't know if it was limited. I think it was in a limited fashion. But there was an immediate signing for those that had a copy. So I think it was limited to like 100. So I don't think there was a ton. I forget what it was. But most people got them signed because the whole creative team was there. The creative team behind the book, that is, and Esad Rubik was there too.
Oh, that's cool.
So most of them were signed, but the rare ones were the unsigned ones, and this unsigned one sold for $1,400, where the signed ones sell for like $400.
Can you talk about that for a sec? Because when I first got into I've known you forever, and you kind of reintroduced me to comics, a while ago. But you kind of told me, like, if you're gonna get it, there's a reason to get it signed and a reason not to get it signed, and you kind of advised me not to get stuff signed unless it's certified, right?
There's the old now it's a different story. The old way of thinking was, if you don't have the COA, the book is essentially just graffiti, because that's how grading companies assess a signature, is that it's just a marking on the book. It doesn't have any association with a person or recognizing it as an authentic signature. And that was the way it was always. So, like, if you loved a book and you wanted to get it graded, it was in your best interest to not get it signed. Today, everyone is getting everything signed now, because now you can get it certified through both CBCS and CGC through their signature verification process, that they'll now authenticate unwitnessed signatures. So you can, like all the signatures that you did get, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years ago, you can now get them authenticated, and they'll like, I have a Dave Stevens signature from the 80s. Or from the 90s. That would be a good book to send in. and people usually find like I have a Neil Gaiman signed trade paperback. You know, there's opportunities to like now get this stuff authenticated, but when you have it's like supply and demand. If you have more of one thing, the rarer is the more expensive. And so when Todd's done this a lot of times of his Spawn books, he'll sign most of them, and then some unsigned ones will sneak its way through, usually via comps, and that's when those copies just go for a fortune. And I know we're running out of time. We were going to jump into some Alien books here too, because we were going to top it. Here we were going to cover Aliens is actually in a very similar fashion. $7,500, 2023, 2,100 today, for the first appearance of Aliens in comics. And I mean, this is such a good cover. But it is not friendly to spine ticks. I've never seen
it. It's a dark cover, a black cover.
Yeah, it's a black cover. Yeah, that's why you see this huge price jumping for near mint raws too. But I mean, this is still, again, Predator and Aliens. They are evergreen brands for sure. So, like, this is a book. If it's this low, I kind of say if you're an Aliens fan, like, let's see how far this goes back. You'd have to go back to 2019 to find cheaper prices. Oh, 2020.
That would be a thing to collect, like pop culture, movie-related comics.
Oh, it's definitely a thing. So nostalgia moves in 30 years. So what was popular 30 years ago is now popular today. And so if you want to just follow trends, what's popular 35 years ago, and get ready for that to explode.
It's crazy. It's 35 years ago. It was like 1990.
No, 35. Yeah, well, yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah,
that's how math works. But yeah,
I mean, we're kind of already in it now. It might have extended even to 40 years.
So I think 89, 90. I mean, you're talking Batman, the Michael Keaton thing. That definitely
kind of. That was 88, 89.
89. Then there was, what else was going on? Beetlejuice, 80s. Coming back. Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think you're a time traveler. 30 years. So buy
and that's why you're getting like Pokemon, Power Rangers. We have Digimon on our. We had Digimon on our. I mean, so like 35 is a spillover to 35 years too. So if you just follow that trend, if you stay ahead of it and buy into that stuff early, this was interesting. This book is new this week. It's Venom versus usually these books don't do much. These crossover books with Aliens and Predators, these modern ones, there'll be some books that will hit spike, and then some of them don't. Obviously, this is 1 in 100.
Real quick though, Aliens versus Venom. Venom is an alien, so
this is Aliens versus Avengers.
Yeah, but you got to be more specific. I mean, alien versus alien.
I guess that's a good point. They're alien versus aliens.
Yeah, who do you think would win?
I'd have to give it.
I'm not talking single xenomorph. I'm talking like the entire, like the queen and all the little whatever.
Oh, with all the little face huggers jumping around and grabbing it. Yeah. I don't know. I'd give it to the Avengers. You just need Thor with a good bolt of lightning. And
yeah, fair enough. I mean, I was thinking with Venom. I think Venom would probably kick ass.
We covered this book last week. This Aliens versus Predator Sandtrap book. You ever see this one out in Wild, guys, grab it, because it was a Best Buy blockbuster, a Best Buy exclusive when the film came out, Alien vs. Predator, when it came out to DVD. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is a $200 to $300 raw book in bad condition, in VF condition.
Whoa!
So, yeah, this is stuff to look out for. So there's a lot of crossovers out there. But really pay attention to some of these, more valuable ones. And now we're back to the crowd. Anywho, so that was kind of stuff we want to get into. Basically, tapping into like, while content might not have a direct effect on the core books, it does often have an effect to the satellite series, especially if those brands like the ones we just covered are such massive brands. There's lots of opportunities in these hard to find variants, and they're quietly going up in price. They're quietly selling for $100 to $200, $300, while everyone's focused on these big keys dropping down in value. And usually people focus on that. They don't focus on some of these outliers, right? Or these low flyers, as the crow flies. So it's kind of just something, as you're going through content, as you're paying attention to content, especially if it's an evergreen brand, there are opportunities out there, especially when a film releases, to find and sell some of these rarities. And that is definitely something to keep in mind. It's not all doom and gloom. If you do have these key books for any of these, I say hold them, because they're blue chip. You know, they're books that will, while they went down a little bit now, they're books that will be climbing for the next, for infinity. Because they're only, they're not getting less rare. They're just going to dry up into collections.
I mean, there's the secret sauce right there: rarity and interest, right? Supply and demand.
Yep.
So Matt, thanks for going through all that stuff. I know you're always plugged into what's happening in the world. So thank you. And for everybody watching, be sure to like and subscribe. Be cool. Like and subscribe. Hit that thumbs up and all those fun things.
Yeah, and share it with your friends if you like this stuff. If you like what we're doing, I mean, we're still just testing things out and get finding our flow. We have to do proper backgrounds. I need to do a proper background at least.
But also tell your friends about coverprice.com. At least if they're comic collectors, they probably will like.
Yeah, we should do a survey. Like, how many of you are actually members?
Yeah, and if you're not,
and why? I mean, we're always interested to see what for those that aren't members. Let us know. Like, reach out to us and say, like, share your thoughts. We literally take that. We take any, not necessarily negative, it's any feedback, whether it's positive or negative. And we do take that into consideration when we're building future tools and we're updating things. Like, how can we make this a better experience? How can we improve on the things that we're doing? And believe me, we have a list of things we're working on currently. So many of them are already in the works. But it is definitely one of those things where we love to know where your head's at and what do you hope to see from us? Because we're you can call us names and you can say everything is bad and we'll be like, got it, no problem. But we're happy to take it. But yeah.
Igor, I just got I sent you an email and it said it got something back that something bad happened to you and so I stopped emailing you. Yeah, it said like you were in an accident.
And you share it publicly.
No. So email me again if you wanted to. I know we were talking about something back and forth. I forgot what it was just now, but I saw your name and it's such a unique name. I was like, oh, and then I got this response and I was like, oh no, what happened to this guy?
This is what we hear every single day. We need to add that clip to our StreamYard of would you like to buy an app? Would you like to buy it? From Rick and Morty.
Good news is we have in the next month something big is happening. Next month and a half, we got to make sure it's
not an app.
It's not an app. The app is literally scheduled for early next year, and we will do that because that is the number one request. We just get so carried away with like building out the website, making sure everything's working, adding these new things.
There's things we got to perfect. There's things we got to get done first before we port everything over into a new home. We got to make sure that the old place is spick and span before we pivot to a new house. The one thing I wanted before we get into the giveaway, I wanted to I think I need addresses for Derek Magnus. I don't know if he's here, who won the World Tree a couple weeks, but I don't have an address. So if you could reach out. And SRS Esquire, I don't know if I have yours or not. I just have your name down from last week, which was the Power Fantasy set. So if you guys are here, please reach out so I can send you your books. And Concrete Sandals, I have not forgot about you. You were definitely on the list too with your Witchblade set.
Matt at
but guess what? You get an extra book because it's late. So there you go.
Quit being late. So Matt
that just happened.
So here, I'm going to share my screen, and if you haven't already, hashtag grommets, type that in, and you will be entered, and you may win in a second. This amazing.
And in addition, I'll throw in cover 1, issue number 1 into this as well.
So, okay, write it down so you don't forget. All right, here we go. Grommets. No whammies. Big money. Let's see, and the winner is... Oh, I thought it was you, JD, for a second. James Wynn. Congrats.
It hung on concrete sandals again. I was like, that makes it easier for me.
Less shipping cost.
James, I got excited for a second. That was one box. And I was like, oh man.
James, if you're here, say hi in the comments, and email me or Matt, John at CoverPrice or Matt at coverprice.com. Or find us on Instagram. Just do a direct message and give us your contact information. Hey, there you are. You bet. Congrats to you. It's always nice to win something on a Friday. We always hear.
Concrete said got excited for a moment. I mean, look, the odds are like pretty low here. So like are pretty high, I should say. The odds of winning are pretty high because there's not that many of you here.
Because we're not really popular.
Well, we're finding our straight. Someone, I don't know if you've been following all the drama. There's a lot of drama on a lot of other channels, and I've been following it too. But they all been saying the same thing. They're like, we'll get like no views, and then they're like, the second they do something about drama or talk about drama, the views go through the roof. So people only like it when it's like negative. So
Matt, I don't like your shirt. I think DuckTales is stupid.
Shove it.
That's how our drama.
That's it. That's our drama.
Whoa! You kiss your mom with that mouth? Yeah. That's
so I use the hell of the Shaker Report. I mean, the Shaker Report is definitely there. Kenneth, I think I should highlight these. Where do we go? There we go. Yeah, the Shaker Report is not designed to be like, here's books you'll never own. It's literally just tuck them away in your brain because they are out there while digging. You will find some of these out there digging.
Solid burn from Ethan.
What did Uncle Scrooge? More like Uncle Stooge.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, but he doesn't have a cool suit.
That's true. Yeah, isn't Uncle Scrooge the richest character in all of comics? Or was it Richie Rich?
I think Richie Rich was, right? I think Scrooge probably is more so.
Okay, before we end the show, we got to look this up. Richest fictional characters. Who's Carlisle? Oh, who Carlisle Cullen? That's Twilight. So the Carlisle, the dad vampire, is 34.1 billion. Scrooge McDuck, he got all his money from mining, which is interesting. 33.5 billion. Richie Rich, just his straight inheritance, 11.5 billion. Tony Stark, his money's from defense at 8.8 billion.
Wait, what was Richie Rich's money from? Did it say?
Inheritance. Just straight up.
I mean, he's from like 1930s. That's probably like the railroad company. There's a lot of blood on those hands, in my opinion.
And then it's Jed Clampett, and then it's Adrian Veidt. Who's Adrian Veidt? I can't remember. I should know this. Bruce Wayne, the Tooth Fairy, Thurston Howell the Third, Sir Topham Hatt of he made his money in railroads. That's so funny. I love that. If you guys don't know, that's Thomas the Train. Artemis Fowl, C. Montgomery Burns, Chuck Bass, real estate, Jay Gatsby, racketeering, and Lucille Bluth, real estate of Arrested Development. Wow, they were worth 950 million. That's pretty good. Anyway, that's fun. Well, who knew the Twilight vampire? And what's funny is he made his money off of compound interest.
I was gonna say, yeah, vampires should be billionaires if they've lived like a few hundred years.
Boring.
Finance isn't boring, Matt.
I want to know that he like ate his way like through old ladies, you know. Like,
no, yeah, he was probably a gold digger for a long time, and then he just kind of like ate somebody, ate somebody. That's what you're supposed to do as a vampire.
But you know what? He's a nice guy. You know, that wasn't his style. You know,
he wasn't always nice. Vampires always start off mean, and then they turn nice after like 200 years.
Oh man. We'll save that for another show.
Yeah,
it'll be an all Twilight show.
Speaking of vampires, one of the guys on our team wrote this book. His name's Mario Alves, and Bloodbirth. One of the best effing vampire stories and creative. I loved it. I keep giving it props. Order it on Amazon if you guys want. Mario's such a sweet guy, super talented writer. Great. If you like vampires, I was like, okay,
you should make a comic.
If you want to make a comic with Mario, reach out.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Seriously, I freaking ate this thing up. It was great. And I have it right here on my shelf. Okay, we're way over time.
All right.
Guys, happy Friday to all of you. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful Labor Day weekend. And Cover Price out.
All right. Bye, guys.
Sorry, I should let Matt say something. Too late.